Welcome to the session number 2, metal casting and welding. In that model number 2 is related to melting and metal mold casting methods. Presented by Dr. Muniraju M, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College, Chamarajnagar. In session number 1, already I discussed about metal molds castings. In that gravity die casting and then pressure die casting we'll discuss in detail. In session number 2 we'll go to remaining metal molding castings. We'll take continuous casting process. Continuous casting process, here liquid metal is directly converted into solid form in one stretch to produce billets, bars, structural sections, etc. Here the main principle of continuous casting process, here in this process molten metal is converted to solid metal continuously in long lengths. Molten metal is poured into the mold at one end and the solid metal is drawn from the other end. Simple geometric cross section, blooms, billets, bars, or it may be slabs are cast in this directly from the molten metal. A simple metallic mold open at both ends and cooled continuously is used for the purpose. A copper mold or brass mold or graphite mold can be used for the purpose. Here the simple continuous casting process is shown in the sketch, and then I'll explain the process. Here is the ladle here into which the molten metal is poured. The molten metal is continuously supplied from the ladle to the intermediate ladle called tundish. Through the opening in the tundish, the molten metal is fed into the mold with minimum turbulence and keep the level at a constant position. The mold is usually, these are the molds you are using, and then here the mold is usually made of copper or graphite, is open at the bottom and is water cooled on both sides and water cooled to extract the heat of the metal, causing its solidification. The shape of the mold is corresponds to the shape of the desired casting. The process is started by placing a dummy bar near the dummy bar after feeding. Before that you have to place the dummy bar here. Dummy bar at the bottom of the mold upon which the first liquid metal falls. The molten metal from the tundish enters the mold and takes the shape of the mold. The water cooled mold controls the cooling rate. Here water supply on both sides, here water in and water out, and then cooling rate of the metal so that it solidifies before it leaves the mold. The metal after coming out of the mold is further cooled by direct water spray. Here water spray will show in the sketch or water with air also to complete solidification. The solidified metal is continuously extracted along with the dummy bar by pitch rolls bent and fed horizontally and finally cut to the desired length by using the cutting torch. And then here the dummy bar is initially placed at the bottom of the mold to receive the first liquid metal. It is later disconnected from the casting. This is the simple process of continuous casting process. And then these are the main advantages of this continuous casting process. No wastage of metal, and then no risers and runners, and then no gates are required. The casting yield is very high, almost 100%. Then continuous production of castings can be carried out, which is not possible in other processes. And then since directional certification is present, the casting will have superior properties. Grain size can be controlled very easily by controlling the cooling rates. Even skill is almost eliminated, and then surface of the casting will be extremely good. The output of the continuous casting can be easily converted to sheet or bar billets, etc. And then complete automation is possible in continuous casting process. And then the main drawbacks or disadvantages of this process includes initial cost of the equipment is very high, and then close maintenance of the plant is very much desirable, and then cost of the product is on the higher side. These are the main disadvantages of this process. Next we'll go for centrifugal casting. Here centrifugal casting is a process in which the molten metal is poured and allowed to solidify in revolving mold. The centrifugal force due to the revolving mold holds the molten metal against the mold wall until it solidifies. The material used for preparing molds may be cast iron, steel, or sand or graphite, that is used for non-ferrous castings. And then the process is used for making castings of hollow cylindrical shapes. Here the main thing is centrifugal castings. The molten metal is introduced into a rotating mold, and the centrifugal forces generated will force the metal into the cavity, thus shaping and feeding the casting. The molten metal solidifies under the influence of the centrifugal force. It is suited for mass production. And then the various centrifugal casting techniques includes true centrifugal casting, semi-centrifugal casting, and centrifuge casting. We will discuss one by one. First we will take true centrifugal casting. In true centrifugal casting is used to produce parts that are symmetrical about the axis, like that of pipes, tubes, bushings, liners, and rings. The outside shape of the casting can be round, octagonal, hexagonal, etc. But the inside shape perfectly round due to radially symmetric forces. This eliminates the need for cores for producing the hollow castings. Here the figure shows the simple true centrifugal process. In this I will explain the process. Here the mold of the desired shape is prepared. This is the mold, metallic mold of the desired shape is prepared with metal, and the walls are coated with a refractory ceramic coating, and then the mold is rotated about its axis at high speed in the range of around 300 to 3000 rpm, revolution per minute, and then measured quantity of molten metal is poured into the rotating mold. This is the pouring basin. Here molten metal will be poured poured, and then the centrifugal force of the rotating mold. Here shaft is fixed, and then rotation takes place. The centrifugal force of the rotating mold throws the liquid metal towards the mold wall and holds the molten until it solidifies. The casting cools and solidifies from its inner surface towards the axis of rotation of the mold, thereby promoting the directional solidification. The thickness of casting obtained can be controlled by the amount of liquid metal being poured. Here the thickness of the casting obtained can be controlled by the amount of liquid metal being poured. That may be, that is centrifugal force, that is equal to me square by r. Here m is nothing but the mass, and then r is nothing but the velocity, and then r is nothing but the radius of rotation. And then here the molten metal will be poured, and then meantime the force is applied, and then speed of the axis, that high speed of range of 300 to 3000 rpm, and then here the metal is poured into the mold, and then centrifugal force of the rotating mold throws the liquid metal towards the mold wall and holds the molten until it solidifies. After solidified, you will get this is solidified metal, that is on both sides you will get. And then the mold can be rotated either horizontally or vertical. In this I will show horizontal sketch. It may be horizontal or it may be vertical also you can use. And then when the mold is rotated about horizontal axis, the true cylindrical inside surface is achieved, and then if rotated on the vertical axis, a parabolic inside surface is achieved. That is about true centrifugal casting. And then we'll go for semi-centrifugal casting. Here it is a process to produce solid castings, and hence requires a core to produce hollow cavities. A simple cylindrical pipe casting is produced in true centrifugal method. Gear blanks, wheels, pulleys are produced by using this semi-centrifugal casting. And then centrifugal force is used to force the molten metal to get the shape of the casting. Here in this process, a speed of 300 to 500 rpm is employed, and then the cope and drag molds are made in sand and fixed onto the casting machine, and then core is also assembled. In this sketch, this is the core, okay, and then you will rotate, and then the risers extended to the top surface acts as pouring basin, and then the mold is kept rotating, and the molten metal is poured, and then molten metal gets thrown outward forcing it against the wall metal, against the mold wall, and then molten metal solidifies and casting shape is formed. After cooling, uh, casting is taken out. A fresh mold is kept and the process is repeated. This is a simple process for semi-centrifugal casting process. This is the core you have to place. Afterwards, you have to pour the molten metal. This is the casting. This is the mold. After pouring, you will get the casting. And then last one is centrifuge casting. Here, a number of castings whose axis is away from the axis of rotation can be made each time, and then any castings shape that can be created in the sand mold can be formed in this process, and a number of mold impressions are grouped around a central sprue. This is a central sprue, and the subjected to centrifugal force due to rotation. And then small castings are done by this method. This is the sprue, and then this is the arrangement. After pouring, we'll centrifugal casting. This is rotated. We'll get the castings. And then in centrifugal castings, many advantages. In this, main advantages are in this, you will get a clean metal, and then the mechanical properties obtained are superior as compared to sand castings, and elimination of the need of the central core, and then elimination of the need of the gates, risers, etc., and thus the castings yield may go up to 95 to 100%. Can be used for mass production. And then the main disadvantages of this centrifugal castings are the initial cost is high, limitation regarding shape of casting, that is castings with central hole can only be cast. That is the main disadvantages of this centrifugal casting. Next we'll go for squeeze casting. Here squeeze casting or squeeze forming or liquid metal forging is a combination of casting and forging process. Here the figure shows the sequence of operations involved in squeeze casting process. The process was the principle, the main thing is consists essentially metering molten metal into the preheated die cavity and apply pressure to the die during solidification of the molten metal. In simple, it can be described as a combination of hot forging and casting process resulting in casting, which have the advantages of both the process. In this here the figure shows the sequence of operations involved in the process. Here the process makes the use of two dies. Here is the top die, and then is the bottom die, and then this is the cavity. Okay, that is the desired shape of the casting required. And then the process makes the use of two dies, bottom die and then top die, cast and machined in such a way that upon mating leaves a cavity similar to the shape of the desired casting. The bottom die is preheated to around 200 to 250 degree centigrade with the help of torch and sprayed by water-based graphite lubricant to facilitate easy removal of casting after solidification. The measured quantity of molten metal is poured into the bottom die as shown in the sketch, and then as the metal starts solidifying, pressure is applied to the top die. From the top die, pressure is applied to the top die, causing it to move rapidly towards the bottom die. This causes the molten metal to get squeezed and fill the mold cavity, and then the squeezing pressure is applied until solidification is completed. The casting is ejected by operating the lift pin, or it may be called as ejector pin, provided in the bottom die, and the die is made ready for the next cycle. Squeeze casting is commonly used for casting aluminum and magnesium alloys, and then cores can be used in this process to produce holes. And then in this squeeze casting process, these are the main advantages. Since no runner braziers are getting in this loss of metal is very less, the yielding is going to be very high. uh, in this no runners are using, and then no risers are getting present. Loss of metal is very less and the yield is going to be very high, and then very intricate castings can be easily produced. The surface finish of the casting is very good and the machining cost is reduced. Very high density with very high mechanical properties can be easily produced, and then near net shape castings can be easily produced. Shrinkage and porosity can be easily eliminated. Very fine grain structure can be easily obtained, and then even metal matrix composites can be easily casted by this method. Next, this is the disadvantages of squeeze casting. In this, heavy castings cannot be produced. This is one main drawback. And then exact metering of the molten metal is very important, and it needs careful design of dies. Next, we'll go for slush casting. Here the castings with external features having aesthetic wall are made by this technique. Castings will be hollow inside and wall thickness may be non-uniform, and then core is not required for this purpose. And then for example, we'll take lamp posts, statues, toys, etc. are produced by this method. This is a simple sketch of slush castings. This is the mold, and then here molten metal will be poured, and then here molten metal is poured into the metal mold. After few seconds the mold is inverted, entire mold is inverted, and the molten metal is drained out into a container. Here container what took place, that is molten metal is drained out into a container. A thin layer of solidified metal is formed in the mold. This is the layer is formed in the mold. The mold is opened and then the thin layer hollow casting is taken out. This is the thin hollow castings you will get. The simple process for producing a casting. And then this is the last one, triaxial casting process. Here in this process, semi-solid metal is subjected to compressive force inside the die and the metal is shaped as required. Metal is shaped as required. And then in this the main principle, a known quantity of metal is heated in a furnace to its softening point, then subjected to external force when kept inside a die cavity. Since the metal is subjected to squeezing action when it is in plastic state or semi-solid state, it is referred to as the exocasting process. The main thing is in this the known quantity of metal is heated in a furnace to its softening point, then subjected to external force when kept inside a die cavity. Since the metal is subjected to squeezing action when it is in plastic state or semi state, it is referred to as the exocasting process. And then while process I will explain here. This is a simple sketch for the exocasting process. The metal pieces are kept in a furnace and maintained at known temperatures, and then when the metal reaches to a plastic zone as indicated by an indicator, a semi-solid metal is transferred into a mold cavity. This is the mold cavity, and then this is the semi-solid metal that is in plastic zone as indicated by the indicator, and semi-solid metal is transferred into the mold cavity and forced between two dies. These are the die, one upper die and lower die. Afterwards, while applying pressure from the top side. After applying pressure from the upper side, the two dies used for the purpose are capable of withstanding wear, tear as well as high temperatures. And then the semi-solid metal cool very fast and gets solidified. The component is withdrawn, the casting is ejected out, and then this is a simple sketch showing. Okay, after placing the semi-solid metal, now you have to apply pressure from the top side. After applying a pressure, and then this semi-solid is transferred into, this is the mold. Okay, die is required, and then after ejecting you get a casting like this is the portion. Okay, and then this is the a simple example figure shows the triaxial casting process. And then in this the main advantage of triaxial casting process, one of the main limitations faced in die casting, ferrous castings, has been its high temperatures. In this process, casting as a slurry is at a much lower temperature die casting process. Metals is made possible. What are the drawbacks in die casting can be overcome by this process? This is one main advantage. And then non-dendritic solidification improves the homogeneity of the cast structure and therefore its mechanical properties, as the metal has to be taken only to its melting temperature and not to any higher pouring temperatures. A certain amount of energy is saved, that is also one main advantage. And in normal casting, defects that creep in due to high temperatures pouring rate are eliminated. Because of the effective short temperatures is much lower than the pouring temperatures, defects due to chilling metal in mold are reduced. Casting of much better qualities are produced due to lower temperatures. Shrinkage porosity is reduced by this process, and then gas entrapment is less, and then due to viscosity, the nature of metal, turbulence are low, and therefore the castings are more sound, that is defectless products you have to produce. And then lower temperatures give reduced thermal shock for allied equipment like short chamber, plunger die, etc. It is possible to achieve a high degree of automation. And then the main disadvantage of the axle casting process are the process becomes expensive due to uh, additional special equipment needed, and then an arrest of solidification is needed at which a metal can be churned. Therefore, favorable solidification characteristics is uh, prerequisite. And then second, the process variables, that is the temperature of melting and freezing range and other important temperature limits are absolutely needed to control the process of slurry formation. This could be accomplished only if the cooling curve of the metal or alloy is known. For those new alloys for which such curves are not possible, it has to be first determined. That's also one main drawback of this triaxial casting process. Thank you for patience listening. Finally, thank you.